The LLF process is on track for November, but what happened to July? Will it be November? The Church of England appoint its first archdeacon, who is transgender, with an evangelical bishop above them. And the Church of England priests are demanding a pay rise, but no one told me, but I'd like one. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Rev Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England, and this is Rev Dan's Roundup, where I bring you the latest news of what's been happening across the Christian world and in the Church of England especially over the past week. Just want to say it was great to meet some of you who watched this channel at an event in London last Saturday. Thanks for the encouragement and the kind words. Greatly appreciated. And for others who have contacted me through social media or email, thanks for your encouragement as well. It is greatly appreciated. To get into our news, the first bit of news which came out yesterday, in fact, was the confirmation, and I reported this on the channel before, that the LLF prayers are on track to come to General Synod in November. That's confirmed now. So what's going to happen in July is probably just an update of where they are, but it kind of came out in the paper anyway. And I'm not going to get into this too much because I'm going to do a live stream on the 2nd of July at 8 p.m. Where I'll be looking at what's going to happen at General Synod, giving my thoughts. People at the moment are far more involved and far more intelligent are looking at this, because there's a lot of legal stuff here as well, and there's stuff with the prayers and things. So I'll gather up that information. So on the 2nd of July at 8 p.m, which is a Sunday, I'll do a live stream where we'll speak about this, and you can chat and you can ask questions. And then, as I did on my last live stream, we'll probably go off and speak about different things as well. But it's good fun. It's a great way to engage with you guys and for you to get to know me as well. So this is going to come to get us in November with the prayers. I've one of the things that I worry about this is, but a lot of vicars out there, when this comes out, then we got Christmas as well. I don't think the timing is great, but there are things that people out there saying it might not even be in November. It could be kicked into next year. So we'll wait and see. But do join me on the 2nd of July at 8 p.m. as we dig deeper into this. So moving on, in the Diocese of Manchester, they've appointed the first transgender archdeacon, Reverend Man, as I will call the person. Not going to fall into any traps here, people. Reverend Man has been appointed archdeacon by the Bishop of Manchester. We know is very liberal anyway, so he's celebrating. This is reported in Anglican Inc., reported across other sites as well. But what's interesting about this is not just that it's a transgender person who has been appointed to this role, because we all know become a bishop's political, and people are working their way up, and one of the ways to become bishops, if you look at the history, the work history of a lot of bishops, they become archdeacons and stuff like that. So, gone is the days where the Holy Spirit was calling you. Well, it could have been always political, and maybe some of the appointments are by the Holy Spirit, and I pray that they are. But the amount of archdeacons that become bishops is quite high anyway. So you could have a first transgender bishop. But digging a bit deeper on this and just looking into this, so the Bishop of Manchester, who has appointed Reverend Man to their archdeacon, to be archdeacon of Bolton and Salford. Now Bolton and Salford are getting a new bishop themselves, a suffragan bishop, and And that suffragan bishop is an evangelical bishop. In fact, he's a charismatic evangelical bishop. Was at Martin the Belfry Church in York, which was brought back to life by David Watson very famously. And I know this man, I don't know him personally, but when I was going for my interview, my time away to discern whether I was being called to ordain ministry, he was one of the people interviewing me. So I knew him from there. I won't say what he said. It was fine. He just didn't understand what I was trying to say, and I probably just didn't explain myself well anyway. So, but he's a evangelical and she's a progressive archdeacon. So the question is, why did the Bishop of Manchester put these two together? How can they work together? And now this new bishop has got to find how he works with his archdeacon, and they work closely together. The archdeacon, in a sense, sorts out a lot of the problems and frees up a lot of the bishop's time. So they have to have a good working relationship. So how are they going to work together? So Matthew Porter said in a statement hearing of the appointment of Reverend Mann, I'm very much looking forward to ministering with Rachel as we seek to grow Christ's church, nurture disciples and serve the people God has called among us. So coming up with the next story is one that I've done on a video earlier this week as the Archbishop's Council sack the Independent Safeguarding Board. It was basically two people they sacked. There was a third, but that was appointed by the Archbishops, and Meg Munn, who is the chair or acting chair, staying on until the next lot's coming through. Church Times leading with a headline: 100 supporters say sacked members of Independent Safeguarding Board. So I said this would continue as news come out. So the pair that were sacked, Jasminda Sanghera and Steve Rees, said separately on Thursday they were informed of their termination of their contracts less than 1 hour before the announcement was made at 1 p.m. on Wednesday, which actually, reading down the report, they were notified at 12:03 and it went out publicly at 1 o'clock, so 57 minutes to say that your contracts have been terminated. There's lots of people come out in support of them, but on a forum that I'm on, one person who is on the Archbishop's Council, I won't name, but they said these people were impossible to work with and determined to trash everything that everybody else was doing regardless. And also reading into the comments, it was always a two-phase process. It was to set up a first independent safeguarding board, and then that would do the job that it needed to do, and then which was linked to the Archbishop's Council. Then the second one would be fully independent. So that was a plan anyway, and I think it's happened quicker because of the breakdown in relationships. There's always two sides to every story. But as I said in the video, the survivors hear people who are actually being abused, and this and the way it's happened, if it's 57 minutes, and they might have built up trust with these people, and these people have been a bit forthright in their views because they're not getting help of the Church of England. It's all in the video. It's going to affect the survivors. So there's big questions around this, and yes, there's two sides to every story. But with safeguarding, what's happening in the safeguarding in the Church of England at the moment, I don't think this is at all been helpful to those survivors. So the Church Times is reporting that the Commissioners and Pensions Board take a side to their oil gas portfolio. So as part of the Church of England's net zero thing, the Church Commissioners and the Pension Board separately are going to remove Shell, BP and other oil and gas firms from their investment portfolios because they are not reducing their carbon emissions quick enough. and there's probably two sides to this, isn't there? That the Church of England had been committed, and the General Synod voted for this to try to get to net zero, and within the church. But part of that was how we invest in certain companies, and because Shell, BP, and other oil and gas are not getting their carbon footprint emissions down quick enough, they said, that's it, you're off our books. But on the other side is the church commissioners and the pension board are there to make money. We rely on them. I rely on my pension now from the Church of England, and you want it to be good and strong, so you want them to invest in the best companies at the time for the bang for the buck. What do you do when you compromise on your principles here? Well, they haven't. But what does come to light is that the church commissioners manage a 10.3 billion endowment fund. 10.3 billion. 10.3 billion. You know, and we're here in parishes struggling. We got such a huge deficit in our church this year. The deficit doubled because of the bills and the rise in electricity and gas costs. And dioceses are struggling out there, and there's a 10.3 billion endowment fund, manage all that money just there, and they can find money for other things. So I hope I know they have to balance these things, but I hope they also don't put too many people who rely on their pensions in a difficult situation, because their pensions aren't going to be strong enough by the time they can come to retire, because many vicars enter into this life and they don't own properties, they don't own much else, don't earn enough in a sense, they're very sacrificially, give a lot of money away, and so rely on those pensions. And I just pray that, you know, they can do what they want, and I hope they're smart enough that it doesn't affect those who have served their life for Christ, and then we have a good, decent pension at the end, myself included. Which moves on perfectly. Found this on the International Business Times. Heavens above, Church of England clergy demand pay rise for the first time in history. Not that I knew that we were demanding a pay rise, but this has actually come out of Unite, who actually I'm part of, just for I joined them. A lot of clergy actually joined them. There's more than 2,000 clergy who joined Unite, because we felt we needed some backing. And Unite have said, being a trade union, they demand a 9.5% increase into the stipend, which is huge. I doubt we're going to go on strike. Maybe I've been asked about this. I don't know. I don't really read the emails. But apparently we are demanding an increase in our wage. I don't think it will happen. It's down to each diocese to what they pay for their clergy. So some dioceses can afford to do that. I think where I am actually, we've had an increase below inflation, but we've had an increase, but other dioceses won't. It's not the Church of England, unless that, as I said before, the church commissioners want to free up some of that 10.3 billion and give everybody a nice little bonus. That would be, well, that'd be very welcome. So I picked up this bit from Ephraim Hardcastle in the Daily Mail, popped up on my news, says, has King Charles confirmed his opposition to the Church of England's decision to bless same-sex civil marriages? Because Christopher Coxworth, who was leading the LLF process and was Bishop of Coventry, is now going to be the next Dean of Windsor, and that's from Prince so used to call him Prince, from King Charles, his decision. Coxworth is an open evangelical, and he was one of the two bishops who abstained from the General Synod vote in February to introduce prayers and blessing for same-sex couples. and this Ephraim Hardcastle says, this is why I also wanted to include it, is how people see the Church of England. It was thought his stand had ended any hopes of climbing further at the greasy pole of woke Anglicanism. The king evidently had other ideas. Isn't that interesting? So many people tell me that the Church of England is woke, and he's saying in here, woke Anglicanism. And if you even abstain from the Church of England's vote, that's it. You're not going to climb up the pole. Interesting. Here's more sad news coming out of Nigeria, and I've said about this before. Headline of Christianity Today: hundreds of Nigerian Christians killed in recent attacks. At least 450 Christians have died in a series of attacks on Christian villages in 3 north-central Nigerian states since May, according to reports from governmental and non-governmental religious advocates. We do not hear of this in the press at all, the mainstream media, and we don't, looking across the Christian media, this is not prominent. This should be prominent, and the governments of countries should be absolutely appalled. Average, I think it's 17 or 19 Christians in Nigeria are dying every day. Being murdered, and not murdered in a nice way. It's quite brutal as well, and this needs to be highlighted, and help needs to be put out there. Where's the UN in this? You know, the peacekeepers. This cannot continue. Next one is not necessarily a Christian story, but it should be at the heart of our Christian speaking out against these things. Christian Today reports abortion figures rise again. So abortion numbers have risen in England and Wales. There were 123,219 abortions in the past year, 17,331 more than during the same period in 2021. More than half, 54%, were DIY abortions carried out at home using pills by post service. Now we know the pills by post controversy here because baby Lily, who was between 32 and 34 weeks, was killed by her mother taking these pills. And babies now can, if they were born at 32 to 34 weeks, they got such a good chance to live. And so this was so far down the line, and the mother has got imprisoned because of this. But the abortions going up, and this pills by post, it's like horrendous. I want an abortion, not really any checks. How can this woman get a pills by post when they should know that she's so far down the line? So we don't know what else is happening out there, and 54% are being done at home. No counselling, no speaking. It's something we need to speak out about. And I know that the anti-abortion charities are speaking out about this, but it needs a movement from the church as well, from Christians, to speaking up for the rights of the unborn children. Just finishing on some good news. We always carry quite a lot of heavy news. The Jesus Revolution film is coming out today in cinemas. You can go on the website. All the links to today's news is down below. This is a film very much about Calvary Church in the States, how it started. It's supposed to be inspiration. A lot of people are very excited about this. A lot of independent cinemas, and not just independent. I see near me, Cineworld is carrying this film. Go out and see it. May it be an inspiration to you and your church, and hopefully when we can, we'll be able to get it in churches as well once it goes through the cinema. And this has got Kelsey Grammer in as well, so it's very exciting. The Christian hippie revolution in the States in the 60s and 70s, and what happened there. So join me on Tuesday as I dig deeper into one of these stories, and don't forget to join me on the 2nd of July at 8 p.m for my live stream looking at what will happen with LLF at General Synod.